Honorable Speaker of the Day, Professor Deepti Gupta, respected colleagues from the Department of English, colleagues from other departments and students of the university and the department. A very good morning to everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we are meeting today for the second lecture in the lecture series being organized by the Department of English. The first lecture in the series focused on academic writing. The third one, the last one, will be on language hygiene. Today's lecture will try to answer one question that we often ask. What are the career-related possibilities after my master's degree? So some of the obvious answers we get relate to teaching and research, which are of course valid possibilities. But then is there something more that we can do? We hope that through this talk, we'll be able to find some answers to this question. Professor Deepti Gupta, through her wide experience of teaching and mentoring, will be able to help you open new horizons and display new possibilities with related to English studies. So before I invite ma'am, I would like to invite Sonalin Soin to introduce the speaker of the day. Sonalin? Sonalin is our master's student, ma'am, second year. Sonalin, are you there? Sonalin, can you hear me? You would need to unmute yourself, Sonalin. Seems somehow we are not connected with Sonalin right now.
Your voice is not.
My voice is not clear either. All right, so let me introduce the speaker myself. All right, Sonalin, but you would like to start? Yes, please. Could you please introduce Professor Deepti Gupta today?
Oh, yeah. Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
I'm extremely sorry. We have network issue here. Thank you, ma'am.
Relax.
A warm and refreshing good morning to everyone. From the frame of reference, when we look at our journey as a learner of one of the most learned foreign language, which is also widely spoken across continents, more or less, we all have faced our share of confusions to walk on the diverse road of opportunity, which the English language provides in career paths. Today, it makes me delighted to introduce our esteemed speaker, who is professor and former chairperson Punjab University, Chandigarh. She is also providing her service as a Dean Alumni Relations and has been the Dean International Student at Punjab University, Chandigarh. Our professor has specialized in applied linguistics and stylistic and has more than 35 years teaching and research experience in the field. She has received her master's in English literature and linguistics, an MPhil in stylistics, and a PhD in ELT. Ma'am has published 3 books on English language and literature with Oxford University Press and Palgrave Macmillan. With her significant contribution in multiple research papers and reviews in reputed journals and publishers like Asian EFL Journal, IATEFL, and Taylor and Francis, our professor has authored a fortnightly column on etymology titled Roots for the Tribune, Chandigarh, and for more than 15 years. She has been an active speaker and trainer and has conducted more than 100 workshops on topics ranging from ELT to effective communication to corporate training at different institutes and organizations across India. Ma'am has been a resource person for various workshops on different aspects of English language learning, teaching and research conducted by Regional English Language Office, the British Council and English Language Teachers Association of India and IDP. Through the course of this lecture, we will learn about career paths after MA English and will get some insights from somebody who has been there and done it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Deepthi Gupta.
Yeah, Shahila, you want me to start? Okay.
Thank you, Sonali.
Thank you, Sonali,
You're
for the
welcome.
enthusiastic introduction. And good morning, everyone. It's good to meet you nice and early. So today we'll be talking about the career paths that are open to you after an MA in English. In fact, an MA English opens you up to so many career possibilities that you will be amazed. But first of all, I'd like to discuss with you 1 or 2 issues that I feel you must be aware of. When anybody enrolls for an MA in English, there is often a frequent misunderstanding where students think that we will be teaching you English. Actually, we are not teaching you English. We are not giving you proficiency in the language. It is assumed that after your bachelor's, you chose MA English because you are proficient in the language. See, if you have a proficiency that is not perfect, an MA in English can polish it up, but it cannot train you for language proficiency. Just look at your curriculum. Nowhere does it talk about teaching you the language. So where an MA in English may enhance your proficiency, make you a better English user, but it cannot grant you that proficiency. Please keep this in mind. Also, your curriculum is just a tiny part of what you hope to gain through your stay in a university department. So learn to harness your curriculum. Choose the right options. Focus as per the career choice. If you're going in for teaching, it is recommended that you take up linguistics. In fact, any career that is language related. But if you are thinking of the UGC, then you need to belong to a university where you have a separate stream for an MA in linguistics. A question that very often comes up. So be careful about your options, especially if you're planning to sit for the UGC NET exam, because that way your options should prepare you for the UGC NET exam, where the overall courses and classes will prepare you for the general first papers, but your options will prepare you for the specialized choices. So never pick your options because a friend is doing so and so, or there are 30 people there, it's extremely popular, or the fact that it is a scoring option. Now that scoring is where I have a particular problem. Any option is scoring if you work hard. Full stop. Okay. So build up your CV during your MA according to your career choice. If you are planning to be a diplomat or a civil servant or planning to sit for any competitive examination, then obviously you need to build up your personality through debates, through declamation, through extracurricular activities. And this also is the place to build your network. If you're planning on creating a career in research, then again you have the opportunity to build a network here. One very, very significant aspect of your career in any field is the fact that you learn to say yes. If the department is looking for people who can translate, volunteer. If the department wants you to help out with some documents that need editing or vetting or proofreading, volunteer. If you have any agency coming to the department that says we need interns from MA English, volunteer. So never say no to any opportunity that provides you growth, further development, and knowledge of fields. Unless and until you know what the various fields are, how are you going to make your choices? You first need to test the waters and see what is in store for you, and then make your choices accordingly. Now, coming to career choices after MA, as I told you, it will depend upon the way you build up your CV and the way you develop your proficiency. Even now, when you are in MA English, nothing stops you from joining an app or a website that will polish up your proficiency further. Every teaching app or website has grades of proficiency, whether you are at the beginner level or the intermediate level or the advanced level. So choose your level and get started. And remember, there's nothing known as perfection in a language. This anyway is the second language for most of us, maybe the third for some of us. But even in your mother tongue, there's nothing known as perfection. You can never be the perfect one where language is concerned. There will always be scope for polishing, scope for working further. Now, when we look at the career choices, one very obvious career choice is the field of education. Now, here you need to decide, would you like to join education as a teacher, or would you like to join education as an administrator, or even as a policy writer? Now, these are avenues that are fast opening up. Administrator means later on, when you have enough seniority, would you like to go in for the post of, say, perhaps a director or a vice chancellor or a principal? Please don't think that these are far-fetched positions. Not at all. If you have the talent and you have the experience, you can target these positions. Many NGOs and government organizations, even private research organizations, hire policy writers. Now, a policy writer is a more specialized form of content writing, where you are supposed to write the policy documents for the organization, for which they need someone who has specialized knowledge of the area and who has proficiency in the language. Now, the specialized language you can gather anytime. You just need to read. It is the proficiency that your MA degree should be able to polish. Uh, you also have to take the decision, are you going to go in for private tutoring or are you going to join some organization, university, college, school? Because many people are private tutors these days. They teach online or they have small classes, small batches that need individual attention. You may be tied up with an institute or an academy, or you can even do something by yourself. Invest a little bit and start a classroom. So, even in the field of education, it doesn't always have to be school, college, or university. There are many online institutes that frequently look for teachers. And the advantage is that there you work on flexi time, you work from home, and you learn something new about digital life. Of course, you also have the usual route of joining teaching. If you're planning on a school education, schools these days do have positions for postgraduates. So, what you need to do is a B.Ed on the way, a B.Ed and a post graduation, and you are set for school teaching. These days, college teaching demands a PhD many times, and of course, for university teaching, you need a PhD. So, if you want my job someday, or you want Shahila's job someday, now is the time to decide what field would you like to do your PhD in. And it's good to pick up a field that you're passionate about, but at the same time, it works wonders if you look for a field that is in demand. Because when you do your PhD, within a year or two, you're going to get employment. So it's the time to do a survey and check what are the fields that are in demand. And remember that your PhD is not like the work of a lifetime. It's just a degree that you need. You want, of course, you maintain a certain quality in your PhD, but don't go on and on and on for years together. There is a reason that there is a timeline of 3 to 5 years. Also, you will require different skills for school teaching, different skills for college teaching, and different skills for university teaching. We are talking about school teaching. There, the focus will be more on equipping the learners with the language. So, you will have to be proficient in teaching the 4 skills of language. You will need to be proficient in giving individual attention, in understanding the psychology of younger learners. For college teaching, again, it will depend upon the kind of classes you're asked to teach. If it is the honors classes, you will need more of a grounding in literature. If it is the plain BA classes, you will need to be more proficient in teaching the language. And if it is the elective or the functional English courses or the vocational courses, there you will need more of the communicative methodology. So you see, the next time somebody asks you the question, what do you want to do after MA? Don't just say teaching. That is, my friends, a very uneducated answer. Focus on the level of teaching that you require. And please remember, you don't need to do a PhD for school teaching. It really saddens me when I see children doing an MA, then a B.Ed, then an MPhil, and then a PhD, and then applying in school. Why waste all those years? Remember, in our country, higher education, unfortunately, has become more of a pastime. Remember that the purpose of higher education is, of course, to polish up your thinking and your personality. But it is also to grant you a livelihood. I'm glad that the NEP 2020 is now going to focus on this aspect of higher education. And there is no harm in restricting higher education. If one can give gainful employment after bachelor's or after plus two, there's no requirement to go on and on collecting degrees. So don't make yourself a basket of degrees. Rather, the degrees you have, invest yourself wisely in them and make the most of them. And this is what you need to convey to your students too when you become a teacher. Now, an allied line with education is the line of language expert. You must have seen that these days there are many places where people ask for a language expert. Now, in order to become start targeting that proficiency, start working towards that proficiency. You know, it's not the degree that gets you the job, it's what you do along with the degree that gets you the job. Just the degree on the CV belongs to millions of people. What matters is what you do with that degree. As a language expert, you can choose to be either a freelancer or you can work with any organization. In Chandigarh, we have lots of these institutes that teach the IELTS, that prepare learners for the IELTS or the TOEFL or the Pearson test of English. And you have lots of these institutes that prepare learners for the competitive exams. Now, all these institutes look for language experts, and the remuneration is not bad at all. So these institutes look for copywriters, they look for content writers, they look for course writers. All these a person with a productive MA can handle. Remember, the key word is productive. It's not just your marks in the mark sheet. It's also how you manage those marks. Plus, you have all these corporate bodies that hire language experts, you know, in order to create their documents for marketing, in order to do their content writing. Also, exam boards hire language experts all the time. The IELTS is looking for examiners, TOEFL is looking for examiners, the Pearson test of English looks for examiners. All these exams that send nurses to English-speaking countries also look for examiners. So you could also check out publishing houses. Publishing houses many times need language experts and editors for every book that they publish. So remember, this is one field where you can never go wrong, provided you have the proficiency. A person from MA English can do a bachelor's in media and communication, if you so like. But even without a bachelor's, you can be hired by the field of public relations. That will depend upon the kind of profile that you manage to carve out for yourself. You see, today it's the time of the digital media. The print media has decreased significantly. So for the digital media, youngsters are required who are proficient in handling both social media and the online platforms that belong to the print media. So if you are well versed in these platforms and also you have the profile of a public relations person who is capable of networking and who is capable of enhancing his or her worth in this field, then definitely this is for you. You can start working. There is another aspect of freelancing, which is blogging. I've seen many bloggers who are earning money from their blogs, provided you know how to do it. Hence, there's no harm in looking at positions for public relation directors or officers or assistants. In fact, during your MA, if you can do an internship in one of these organizations, it will definitely help you in your CV, and it will also tell you what are the skills you need. Now, public relations people are hired by corporates, they are hired by universities. Every university has a public relations office. So for starters, you can go and volunteer at the public relations office of your university. After this talk, you can tell Shahila, ma'am, I'll write the press release for the talk. I'll write the report for the talk. So you see, hands-on learning is available all around you. All you need to do is keep your eyes open, keep your eyes and ears open. Government bodies frequently hire students who are expert in language. In fact, Parliament House also has an internship. Parliament House also has a position for a media intern that they fill up every year. So these are opportunities that you must explore. And of course, celebrities are looking for kids who are good at social media, who are good at public relations and at language, who can handle their media interaction. So one can even go that way. You just need to create a CV that matches the career path you want. You may find this surprising because usually we think of the CV as a template that is common to everyone. No, your CV is designed according to the job you apply for. So if you start working right now, you can even build up your CV in the areas that you know are deficient. Your CV is an ongoing exercise. It's not something that ever stops. And remember, whenever you apply anywhere, you will need to tweak your CV accordingly. Remember to tweak your CV and remember to write a separate CV for a fresh career path. Now, when we talk about freelancing, in freelancing, thanks to the digital turn, there are loads of opportunities available. I know of so many of my students who gave up jobs to become freelance editors. They edit PhD theses, they edit manuscripts for authors, they edit the copywriting that people want edited, or they edit the content that belongs to organizations. So for that, you just need to build up your web page that holds the services that you offer. And remember that in the field of editing, you can start as a person who works free of cost. And by, you can start charging. You can start enhancing your charges. NGOs are always looking for language experts because they need to write so many documents to the government, and they need to submit so many documents. They need to maintain reports, etc. As a freelancer, you can even be an influencer in the marketing zone. Looking at the way Industry 4.0 is fast moving towards the second phase of digital marketing, very soon influencers will be much in demand. Influencers are people who make a difference to the attitude of the public, to the attitude of the lay user and buyer, the consumer. Every influencer, how do you start by being an influencer? For example, if you are a foodie, you can run a blog that reviews the eating joints of your city. By, you start getting followers, or even if it is a Facebook page, you don't want to do a blog, you can run a Facebook page where you review the eating joints of your city. By, you start getting followers, and you start getting queries from people. I'm going to such and such place. What are the timings? What is the dress code? How much should I pay for a meal? Which is the best dish? I'm giving you a very small example. Okay. When you have enough followers, that is when you become an influencer. Now, this is not a position that somebody is going to give you, but this is what it's known as in the digital media. So then you are in a place where you can talk to these food joints, show them your page, and you can say, look, this is what I said about you to such and such person. Did this person come and eat, or did this person order? So slowly, these places start paying you something on a monthly basis, or they ask you to carry their ads on your web page or on your Facebook page, or they ask you to post on Instagram. So this is how you become an influencer. I know of a friend who's very fond of fashion. So she started ordering garments from online houses. And then, just as a hobby, she would pose in those garments for her blog. Now, when she started posting these pictures on Instagram and Facebook, she started getting inquiries from friends. Oh, where did you buy this from? How did you order this? What discounts did you get? So when she informed them, and then at many shopping sites, you have this little feedback form that says, who asked you to shop with us? Or how did you know about this sale? So these friends started putting her name there, that she's the one who alerted us to this possibility. So I have seen how over the years, fashion houses started contacting her and said, would you like to be our influencer? We'll be happy to pay you this much per year. Or sometimes we can offer you a 30% discount on whatever you purchase. So you see, the benefits come slowly, but they do come. You can also become an expert in digital marketing, because digital marketing is all about the use of language. So after your MA or during your MA, if you do a small certificate course in digital marketing, then you know all the do's and don'ts. So you've got two skills together, one in digital marketing and one in language. Many times there are demands for a master of ceremonies or an anchor whenever there are events in the city. So keep your eyes and ears open. Volunteer. You can start with the university itself. One of you should have requested Shahila ma'am. And once you've welcomed everyone, why don't you hand over to me? I'll do the anchoring for these lectures. So in my next lecture, I hope to see one of you doing the anchoring. So this is how you grab these opportunities, I'm sure many of you think that I'm teaching you to be greedy or to be grabbing. No, I'm just demonstrating to you that the opportunities are there. You just need to go and fill those posts. I'm sure Shaila ma'am and Alpna ma'am have lots to do during the day. They'll be very happy to hand over this to you. Set up the webinar for them. Run the whole show for them. Manage the feedback forms. Manage the communication with me. So these are things that prepare you for another profession, and that is that of event manager. We take for granted our ability to communicate effectively. This ability is very, very important in most professions that demand a public face. So from anchoring and MOC, you can move on to being an event manager. And then the corporate world is a world where language is at a premium. Keep your eyes and ears open. Frequently visit websites belonging to corporates. And someday you'll come across something that will fit your talents. One aspect of being a freelancer is that you can become a teacher trainer. or a corporate trainer. Teacher trainer means you can train teachers in teaching, not just English, but because communication is required in all subjects, you can master effective communication in the classroom. Or if you're a linguistics person, you can master teaching the language. So pick up a field and become a teacher trainer. I'll share my experience with you. When I started teaching at the university, I was passionately interested in teacher training. But for the profile of a university lecturer, teacher training is thought to be very B.Ed and bachelor's level. Now, for this profile of a lecturer, teacher training people feel is something that is very basic. It's not advanced enough for a university lecturer with a PhD. But I was interested. So what did I do? Since I feel that teachers are the bedrock of education, I started giving sessions gratis. Anybody who would invite me for teacher training, I would go. Whether it was school, whether it was college, whether it was university, whether it was coaching institutes. And then by and by, the British Council started inviting me. And now I think I've done more than 100 workshops with the British Council, the RELO, the Regional English, the Language Office of the American Center started inviting me for workshops. I started going very frequently to FDPs, where I brought something that was different. I'm talking about more than 2 decades before, when teacher training meant a boring lecture that put people off to sleep. So I started doing workshops with teachers. And these workshops became very, very popular because teachers felt they were hands-on and they were not getting bored to tears and they were actually learning something. Now, the same happens with corporate training. In corporate training, you have training like training people to write formal documents in the office, something like agenda, minutes of a meeting, memos, or even etiquette, the etiquette of the net, writing polite emails. Now, for all these things, they need language people. Then you've got the extremely lucrative field of time management, stress management, neuro-linguistic programming. I mean, you name it, and a language person can do it. What you need is the enthusiasm and the will to do it. One very important career path that is emerging these days is that of research. We think of research as a degree and we tell you, okay, do your PhD and move on. But you can also pick up a career as a researcher. You see, places like the European Union, places like the British Council, or places like the Australian Association of Universities, or the Australia-India Foundation, or even ICSSR, or the Shastri Foundation, or even the governments of countries. They want people to come and work on their societies, come and do research, or become research assistants. For example, there's a scientist who can't write research papers very well, so he or she is very happy to hire you as a research assistant. So research, my friends, has also become a career these days, both within India and beyond India. And then, of course, we have the usual field of further studies. After your MA, you can go in for an MBA if you want to join the corporate world. An MBA in HR works very well for language people because it doesn't involve too much of the technical aspect, and HR demands language proficiency. Or you can do a B.Ed, as I told you earlier, a PhD. MPhil is being phased out, but MPhil is a good way of entering PhD full time. And of course, the field of law. I know of a large number of people who use their language proficiency to shine in law. If you ever have the time, just Google Meet Malhotra. He's a Supreme Court, a senior counsel at the Supreme Court of India. And in his talk in the court, he often uses instances from literature. He was with me in MA, and today he's at the Supreme Court doing well for himself. Similarly, you'll notice that many judges use a lot of allusions from literature. So the judiciary is also a field that you can think of, because you already have the language proficiency that people from law agonize over. I've lost count of the number of lawyers who've come to me asking for some kind of coaching in English because they felt that they were not well versed enough to present before the judges. Now, the last career path I'll be talking about is the path of translator. Translation, friends, is a wonderful and lucrative profession. Right now, I have a senior research fellow with me who translates documents for both the Punjab and Haryana government because he's proficient in Punjabi and Hindi both. And do you know what he charges? He charges 200 rupees per page. And if the translation is very complex, it can even go higher. As a translator, you have a good career ahead. As a translator, what do you need? Proficiency in any two languages. If you want Indian languages, Hindi, Punjabi, or if you're a South Indian language, or you could choose a foreign language. These days, Chinese, Japanese, German, Russian, French, Italian, all these languages are in demand. If you check the web page of the embassies, they're always looking for translators and interpreters. So you could join the field of foreign relations as translator, interpreter, and then you must have seen in the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, all these MPs are wearing these earphones. Now those earphones are giving them the translated version in the language that they want. Or the UN is always looking for language experts who know translation, right? Anyway, the UN is always looking for language experts, period. You can check out the website. So tourism is one area where translators are in demand. Travel is one area where translators are in demand. The government, as I told you, UN, etc. And then there are these institutes of English language, of Indian languages. You have institutes which are known as IIL, Institute of Indian Language, which have been set up across the country. So you could join one of those as a translator. And where the qualification for translation is concerned, my university also has certificate courses in translation in Hindi. And JNU has certificate and diploma courses. Plus, you have all these universities like Amity and IGNOU, where you can do a short-term course along with your MA. Or you can simply learn another language and do the translation yourself. So I'll stop here now because Shahila is giving me those stern looks. And I understand that for this talk, interaction is very important. Yeah. So please go ahead and ask questions. I'll meanwhile also post my email in the chat box in case you want to get in touch with me. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Please ask questions. Anybody?
It's a pleasure talking to all of you. So we're not worried if you don't have questions, because we understand that to formulate the questions too, there is a process. You need to think a bit. Yeah. So go ahead and think. And one strategy for choosing a career path is make a mind map. Draw a mind map for yourself. What do you want from your career? When you write things down, you draw things, it helps you, it clarifies matters, it crystallizes things in your head. So draw a mind map. This is the career I would love. Or if you don't have a career, think of the things that you love to do, that you feel you can do all your life. And then write the pros and cons. And then make a path. What all do I need to shine in this career? And right now, start keeping tabs on the market. Because this pandemic and the digital turn in the world has resulted in a re-engineering of career paths. So keep a tab, keep a finger on the pulse of the world. And you're very lucky. In our times, we had to go to dusty libraries and we had to go through old editions of newspapers and books, or we had to beg a professor to guide us, or we had something known as a placement center where we had to run after people to give us information. You're lucky you have information at your fingertips. So use it. Yeah, Shaila.
I'm sure our students have some questions. You can unmute yourselves and ask, or you can type in your question in the chat box. And students mentioned study abroad as well. Some of them want to explore the possibility of going abroad and either for studies or for other opportunities. So they often want to know how to proceed with that.
Yeah, there's a question also. Can you throw
Yes,
some
ma'am.
light on the international possibilities?
Indeed.
You see, for international possibilities, the situation is like this. First of all, you need to be absolutely sure of which field you are targeting. You want to go in for teaching, you need to be sure which area. Because in India, we talk about English as a specialization. Beyond India, English has so many branches. So you've got to be sure. Are you looking at ESOL? ESOL is English teaching to speakers of other languages. Or are you looking at literature? Are you looking at research in language, research in linguistics? Are you thinking of a corporate job? Are you thinking of a job in media? So you first have to understand yourself. Don't make the going abroad your goal. Your goal is to find a career for yourself and then check, will it come through education abroad or will it come through your education in India? Because there will be a difference there. If you are thinking of an education abroad, then you go on a student visa first. If you are thinking of applying for a job, then it means a PR. It's not that you just walk into a city and take up a job as it happens in India. When you're going abroad, there are complications to consider. So first, narrow down on the country. Now, if you are thinking of, say, Canada on paper has lots of jobs. But how many of those jobs actually translate into opportunities? That is what you need to study. For people from MA English, student pathway always works better. Because when you go through the student pathway, then you have done the degree that is required for that country. The specifications are done. And then you apply for a job visa. Okay. And for the student pathway, you have the EU, the European Union, that offers you scholarships and fellowships. You have the British Council, and then you have the American Center. Plus, as I told you, you have these Indo-Shastri Canadian fellowships, then you have the Commonwealth scholarships. So there are loads of scholarships and fellowships. You just need to subscribe to any one page, and then they will keep sending you alerts. But when you apply for these, you've got to be very, very serious about the application, because every application is taken seriously since the candidate is not present. So every word you write there, be very cautious that you don't present a negative picture of yourself. Now, for instance, I was noticing now the digital interaction also has to be managed very cautiously. I noticed that many of you have as a DP, Our Lives Matter. Now, where your personal preferences and your personal political leanings are concerned, they may be what they are, but they don't enter the academic sphere. For the academic sphere, you need another DP or another icon that is professional. So remember this, whenever you have online interaction, it should be restricted only to the professional aspect and not your personal leanings and interests. I hope you don't mind my suggestion. Because I've seen people suffering because of personal leanings, which is why I mentioned this. Anna, you're asking, is content writing a secure job when compared to teaching? Yes, Hannah, content writing is a secure job. In freelancing, definitely there could be lean periods when you don't earn enough. But if you're working with an organization or a proper office, then you are a regular employee. So that will depend upon the kind of contract that they work out with you. But content writing is now a recognized career choice. It's not something that is floating or intangible. It is a recognized career. Yes, Shaila.
Do we have some more questions, please? Yes, ma'am.
Is it sure that we will get a job after PhD? Sachin, whenever you go for an interview, there are hundreds of applicants with a PhD. Okay? And you feel extremely sorry for all those people. But who shines? The one who is able to perform in the interview. So, the certainty of getting a job after PhD, the onus is on you. What do you do with your PhD? As I said earlier, what do you do with your MA? It's not that piece of paper that's going to get you. It is your capability that is going to get you. I know that the employment rate here is in trouble in terms of academics, but one hopes that things will improve. Sachin, thank you for the thank you. You're welcome to send me an email anytime. So I think we can wrap it up, Shaila.
All right, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am, for your patience and depth of knowledge with which you informed us about the career choices and answered the questions. I would now like to request Beauty, our student of Mass MA second year, to propose a formal vote of thanks. Beauty?
Thank you, ma'am, for giving me the opportunity to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge the contributions of those who helped us put this webinar together and made it a success. On behalf of the Department of English, School of Languages, Literature and Culture, and the entire fraternity of scholars at Central University of Punjab, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Professor Deepti Gupta Madam, who spent her busiest time gracing the occasion. I thank her for extremely relevant address. Thank you, ma'am, for praising us with the multiple career options that lay ahead of us. And as you rightly pointed out, the degree alone isn't what makes us eligible, but what we do along with the degree, what we add to our CV throughout our study is going to help us. Her suggestion that we hone our skills like editing, translation, anchoring as we go in the study itself is what's going to help us in the long run. She also highlighted the importance of language proficiency, which opens the conventional as well as the non-conventional job opportunities through IELTS and TOEFL, and also public relations. Keeping ourselves informed about the latest digital trends and in the corporate houses and update ourselves accordingly is something students might heavily benefit from. She advised us not to shy away from volunteering, and will and enthusiasm is going to help us in whichever path we choose. Good command of a language opens opportunities in areas like translation, event management, law, stress management, and we can work in NGOs as well. She also encouraged us to go for certificate and diploma courses and increase to our CV. So to borrow Professor Gupta's words, a productive ME is going to help us and it is going to give us an upper hand in the employment sector. I believe everyone present here must have taken something from her insights with them. Thanks a lot, ma'am, from the invaluable talk. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our respected Vice Chancellor, Professor Raghavendra Tilak, for always encouraging early engagements like today's. We are sincerely grateful to Professor Dr. Alpana Saini, Head of the Department of English, for her encouragement and faith. Thanks a ton, ma'am. I further express my regards to Professor Dr. Dinesh Babu, Dr. Vipan Pal Singh, and Dr. Prithviraj from the Department of English for their cooperation and support. My hearty thanks to Professor Dr. Saila Zafar for smoothly taking us through the talk, also for her efforts in arranging an opportunity for us to have a better understanding of available career options after masters. Thank you, ma'am. A special thanks to our Public Relations Officer, Mr. Robin Jindal, and the DEO of our department, Ms. Charanjeet ma'am, for their constant assistance. My deep appreciation and thanks to the faculty members of different departments of CUPD, the students of the university, especially of the English department, for always being supporting, and the audience present here for being patient and active listeners. We are also indebted to our technical support team, especially Ms. Usha Sharma ma'am, for steady internet connection and other technical arrangements without which this webinar could not have been possible. Once again, I thank you all for being with us this morning. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Beauty. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So we will meet again on the 24th for the last session, for the last talk in the series on language hygiene. So let us finish today's session with the national anthem. Thank you, everybody. Ma'am, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
You too, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.